Hey everyone, I'm your name with unseen narrative. Today we're diving into the early leadership of Adolf Hitler in Germany. How did he manage to captivate a nation and implement policies that resonated with the German people? Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore those complex and deeply unsettling early years of Hitler's leadership before the outbreak of World War II. It's a period filled with economic recovery, a resurgence of national pride, and yes, the sinister rise of authoritarianism. By understanding this period, we can better grasp the factors that led to one of the darkest chapters in human history. So buckle up, because we're about to navigate a historical minefield, and as always, we're going to do it together. Imagine Germany in the 1930s. Reeling from the aftermath of World War I, the nation was grappling with crippling hyperinflation, mass unemployment, and a sense of national humiliation. It was a fertile breeding ground for unrest and radical ideologies. Enter Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party, promising to restore Germany to its former glory. One of Hitler's shrewdest moves was his approach to the economic crisis. He knew that a nation crippled by poverty and unemployment would be more susceptible to his message of national rejuvenation. Hitler implemented a series of large-scale public works programs, focusing on infrastructure projects like the Autobahn, the world's first national highway system. These projects weren't just about building roads, they were about putting Germans back to work, and it worked. Unemployment plummeted, and the German economy began to show signs of life. But this economic recovery came at a cost. Hitler's economic policies were deeply intertwined with his militaristic ambitions. He poured resources into rearmament, violating the Treaty of Versailles and laying the groundwork for the war machine that would eventually plunge the world into chaos. Trade unions were dismantled and dissent was silenced. The economic recovery, while seemingly impressive on the surface, was ultimately unsustainable and built on a foundation of exploitation and persecution. The psychological scars of World War I ran deep in Germany. The Treaty of Versailles, which many Germans perceived as a humiliating defeat, had imposed harsh penalties on the nation, including territorial losses and crippling reparations payments. Hitler skillfully tapped into this wellspring of resentment and national humiliation. He denounced the Treaty of Versailles as an injustice, a stab in the back orchestrated by enemies both foreign and domestic. His rhetoric resonated with a population eager to reclaim its lost pride and status. Hitler understood the power of symbolism and spectacle. He orchestrated massive rallies and parades, transforming the public sphere into a stage for Nazi propaganda. Swastikas adorned buildings, and Hitler's image became ubiquitous, a constant reminder of the new order. Through carefully crafted speeches and propaganda, Hitler positioned himself as the savior of the German nation, the one destined to lead them out of darkness and into a new era of greatness. This message of national revival struck a chord with many Germans, particularly those who had come of age during the tumultuous years of the Weimar Republic. By demonizing groups like Jews and communists, Hitler consolidated his power and created a climate of fear and intolerance. The Treaty of Versailles, designed to prevent Germany from ever again posing a military threat, ironically became a rallying cry for Hitler and the Nazi Party. They denounced its restrictions as unjust and vowed to restore Germany's military might. Hitler's defiance of the treaty, while alarming to the international community, played well with the German populace eager to shed the shackles of defeat. He secretly began rebuilding the German military, exceeding the limits imposed by the treaty. Factories hummed with activity, producing weapons and military equipment. Young men, eager to serve their resurgent nation, flocked to join the ranks of the newly formed Wehrmacht. The remilitarization of Germany was not just about tanks and planes. It was about restoring a sense of national pride and purpose. Hitler understood that a strong military was essential for achieving his ultimate goal, expanding German territory and creating a greater German Reich. The world watched with a mixture of apprehension and indifference as Germany cast off the constraints of the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler's ambitions, fueled by a dangerous ideology of expansionism and racial superiority, would soon plunge the world into the abyss of World War II. Chapter 4. Building for the Future. Infrastructure and Innovation in the Third Reich. Hitler's vision for Germany extended beyond military might. He also sought to modernize the nation's infrastructure and establish Germany as a technological powerhouse. The construction of the Autobahn, a network of high-speed highways spanning the country, was a testament to this ambition. These roads, marvels of engineering at the time, were more than just a transportation system. They were symbols of progress and modernity. The Autobahn project created jobs, boosted the economy, and showcased German engineering prowess to the world. Hitler also recognized the importance of technological innovation. He poured resources into research and development, particularly in areas like aviation and rocketry. German scientists and engineers made significant strides in these fields, laying the groundwork for future advancements. The development of the jet engine and the V-2 rocket, while ultimately used for destructive purposes during the war, were testaments to German ingenuity. The regime's focus on infrastructure and technology, while seemingly progressive, was ultimately intertwined with its dark underbelly of militarization and control. Chapter 5. The People's Car. The Volkswagen and the Illusion of Progress. In 1937, Hitler announced an ambitious project, the creation of the Volkswagen, the People's Car. The idea was to produce an affordable and reliable automobile that would be accessible to the masses, a symbol of German ingenuity and national unity. The Volkswagen factory, a massive complex built in rural Lower Saxony, became a showcase for the regime's vision of a modern and industrialized Germany. Workers flocked to the factory, enticed by the promise of steady employment and a chance to be part of something larger than themselves. The Volkswagen Beetle, with its distinctive rounded shape and air-cooled engine, quickly became an icon of German design and engineering. However, the Volkswagen project, like many of the Nazi regime's initiatives, was built on a foundation of exploitation and deception. The workers at the Volkswagen factory, while initially promised fair wages and decent working conditions, were increasingly subject to the control and manipulation of the Nazi labor system. The Volkswagen, intended as a symbol of progress and unity, ultimately became a symbol of the Nazi regime's broken promises and the dark side of its industrial ambitions. Chapter 6. The Iron Fist, Political Stability Through Authoritarianism. Germany in the late 1920s and early 1930s was a nation teetering on the brink. The Weimar Republic, weakened by economic turmoil and political instability, was plagued by street violence, political assassinations, and a sense of impending collapse. Hitler and the Nazi Party capitalized on this atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, presenting themselves as the only force capable of restoring order. Through a combination of intimidation, propaganda, and political maneuvering, the Nazis systematically dismantled the democratic institutions of the Weimar Republic. The Enabling Act of 1933, passed by a Reichstag cowed into submission, effectively granted Hitler dictatorial powers. Political opponents were silenced, imprisoned, or forced into exile. The press was muzzled and freedom of speech became a distant memory. Hitler established a totalitarian state, with the Nazi Party exerting control over all aspects of German life. The suppression of political opposition and the dismantling of democratic institutions, while presented as necessary measures to restore order, laid the groundwork for the horrors that would follow. Chapter 7. A Legacy of Horror, Never Again. So, as we've seen, the early years of Hitler's rule were a complex tapestry of economic recovery, rekindled national pride, and terrifying authoritarianism. It's easy to look back and wonder how a nation could fall prey to such a dangerous ideology. But it's crucial to remember the historical context, the humiliation of defeat, the economic despair, the political instability. Hitler exploited these vulnerabilities, offering simplistic solutions to complex problems and preying on people's fears and desires. But let's be clear. None of this excuses or diminishes the horrors that followed. The economic gains, the national pride, the technological advancements, they were all achieved through exploitation, discrimination, and ultimately, violence. The Holocaust, the systematic genocide of millions of Jews and other minorities, stands as a chilling testament to the depravity of the Nazi regime. It's our responsibility to learn from this dark chapter in human history, to recognize the warning signs of intolerance and authoritarianism, and to challenge them wherever they arise. Thanks for watching.